So about a year ago, there was a lot of buzz about this new supergroup that consisted of members of Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Nirvana. They came out of nowhere. I remember I reviewed the album, and the first time I listened to it, I didn't do any research beforehand. I was expecting some kind of like new grunge band, but it was different when I listened to it. Not bad, but more on the indie rock side with some elements of grunge. What surprised me is that there were these female vocals, and my first thought, I thought it was Courtney Love, because that's what it sounded like. I don't think Courtney Love is on good terms with these guys, so then I thought it was Taylor Momsen from The Pretty Reckless, because I had remembered she had worked with the guys from Soundgarden on her last album. And I was wrong. It was actually two female vocalists. I'll go over that lineup in a minute. But let me actually say that Taylor Momsen is actually on this new album. So I guess I kind of predicted it, or it was just a coincidence. Or anyway, the band's lineup includes bass guitarist, accordionist Krist Novoselic from Nirvana. So he's like the big name in this band. And then the two grunge guys, Matt Cameron from Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, and Kim Thayil from Soundgarden. And we also have Jon Bubba Dupree from a band called Void. Now the two female vocalists are Jillian, Raye, and Jennifer Johnson. So with this new album, I think the sound's very similar. I would probably say the first album had more of like a grungy feel with indie rock, and the second album is still very grungy, but it's more of that laid back type of grunge, something along the lines of like Screaming Trees, and I'll be talking about different bands I thought that they sounded like throughout the songs, but it's a decent follow-up, so let's talk about the songs. The opening track is Reckless Room. It's a fairly laid-back type of song. It starts with an acoustic guitar. The intro reminded me of something like Led Zeppelin, like that type of song, but it progressed. It became more of a grunge song, and used that particular slightly distorted guitar tone that was common for grunge in the 90s, and in general, it was a pretty laid-back song with some hints of psychedelic music. The vocals were in that lower range for female vocals. I think that's why I compared them to Courtney Love the first time, but it's a decent song to start off. Her Disease is a little more upbeat. It reminded me of the band The Breeders, like from that band from the 90s, a little more of an upbeat rock type of song, and had that grungy sound, and had a short guitar solo towards the end of it. The song was pretty good, a little shorter than the first one, but not too bad. State of Mind is another one of those like grungier songs. I'm going to be saying like the word grunge throughout this video a lot, but this one reminded me of more like a Soundgarden type of song, because it had those like particular types of like guitar riffs. I can imagine Chris Cornell singing the song, and I liked it a lot. Thought the vocals were very good, and they were a little more upbeat. Towards the end of the song, there was some psychedelic influence, and Climb Aboard was more of an uplifting song. It was a laid-back indie rock type of song. A little bit of that grunge influence, but not as much. This was one of the songs where I could hear both vocalists, so it wasn't too bad as the fourth track. So Close is probably one of my favorites on the album. It's more of an energetic song. Starts with a drum beat and has that funky bass line, and it sounded more like an 80s post-punk. I was hearing hints of Blondie in this one. Thought it was very good. It moved away from that grunge sound and a little bit, and I thought it was a good standout track. Queens was pretty good. The intro reminded me a little bit of like She Talks to Angels by the Black Crowes. But after the first few seconds, it was a slow, sludgy type of song, something along the lines of like a Pearl Jam type of song, but with some darker undertones. I guess you can call it that. I thought it was a pretty good song. Ditch was the first single. It was this bouncy type of rocker. A mixture of indie rock and some 90s grunge influence. The thing that stood out with the song is that the guitar solo towards the end, it was a very psychedelic type of guitar solo, and other than that, not much else to say, but a decent song. Awaken Ye Sleeper, another one of my favorites. It had this slow and droning quality. It was like a little darker, also felt like a Soundgarden type of song. It had those particular guitar riffs. The vocals were like a little darker. The song was a little slow moving, but it stood out because I remember this one the most after listening to this album. I listened to it about like 3 times. And also the guitar solo was very good towards the end. It was very like atmospheric, psychedelic type of guitar solo. Now let's talk about the one with Taylor Momsen and Matt Cameron doing a vocal duet. And it's called Gift from Above. So this one sounded different for the obvious reasons. It actually reminded me of like the Foo Fighters. As I step into the sun. I guess because of the male vocals, and also it had that like upbeat drum beat and those like loud guitars, and it was very good. It was more of an energetic type of song. It had the one guitar solo which was different from the others because it was more like a shredder solo as opposed to the other ones which were more like atmospheric and psychedelic. But I like this song a lot. And the last track, Let It Burn, it was good. I mean, it didn't stand out or anything. It had some distorted guitars, like something like a Pearl Jam type of song. It was energetic, fast-paced, kind of more on the atmospheric side, but it closes out the album pretty well. So now for my final thoughts. I'm not really sure if I like this one better than the first album. I think they're kind of both on par with each other. This one definitely had that grunge influence, but like I was saying before, it's more of like a laid-back type of grunge with indie rock. There were a few songs that reminded me of like Soundgarden, some reminded me of Pearl Jam. And I know Krist Novoselic is in this band. I didn't really hear much of a Nirvana influence, but I think he's kind of like over that band. I know he's doing a different band right now, and I guess this band is kind of here to stay. As far as I know, Pearl Jam is working on a new album. I think that's going to be released in 2024, and I know Soundgarden was kind of like involved with this legal dispute, so we might get something from them. But in the meantime, this is a pretty cool, I call it a side project, I guess, even though I think they'll be releasing more albums. So I'm going to give this 7.5 out of 10. I actually don't remember what I gave the first album, but that's my score for now. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Thanks for watching. Like this video, helps me with the algorithm, and you know all that stuff I say at the end of the video. But check this out. This is the first review of the first or third Secret album. If you want to kind of make a comparison of these two reviews if you haven't seen it already. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.